Hustle culture is the worst advice given to entrepreneurs. See, most of the gurus out here are telling you that you need to delegate everything, you need to work 16 hours a day, but that's just not healthy or optimal for most people. Most entrepreneurs, especially the ones getting started, have a job already that they work full time, and most likely family as well. And then outside of that, you don't want your entire life to just be work. So the idea of working 16 hours a day is just not logical for 99% of people. It's just not realistic. Today, I want to break down how you can be profitable, have a successful business without falling into the trap of hustle culture. Hustle culture is terrible, number one, because you're not the best version of yourself. Think about how much time you have put into working super late, and then you wake up and you don't realize what you did. You put in a lot of work, you were up all night, and then you're like, man, this is done, but like, is it good? Most of the time it's not. Like most of the time when you're working, I would say past 10 o'clock, you're not doing great work. I know some people are night owls and they are doing a good job, but most people just aren't. Now, I'm not here to say whether you're smart or dumb for that. I just think it would be more logical to work in the time frame you set for work. Like one of the healthiest things I've ever done is stopping work past 10 o'clock. Now, sometimes I will work after 10, but it'll be something like this. Like I'm recording this video right now at 9:10, right? 9:10 p.m. Now, once 10 o'clock hits, if I'm not done, I'll keep going and finish it up, but I'm not doing intense work after 10 p.m. on any day. I just think it's better to separate your business life and your personal life so you can still have free time and enjoy life. Hustle culture is also based on quantity, not quality. Think about the person that you know that brags about how many books they read in a year, right? Like, reading a lot of books sounds really good on the surface. Like when you're in middle school and you first learn how to read, elementary for some of us, like that's when reading a lot of books is great. But as you get older and you have a life, you got responsibilities, bragging about how many books you read kind of sounds stupid because I'm more concerned with what you read, if anything, because we read the same book or a similar type of book. You might be able to recommend something to me. We can work on that level. But you just telling me you read 52 books last year isn't like a flex. It's kind of like, okay, like I don't really care. I don't see how that's valuable to you, but okay. I think it's better if you take the approach of reading the right books versus just reading a bunch of books. And hustle culture tells you to do everything as much as you can all the time, and that's not always the best solution. Like if you have a problem in your business and you're not profitable and something's going wrong, the answer to that isn't to go and work 100 more hours or something crazy. Like that's not going to help you. Like what you need to do is put in better work in those hours you are working. Then you'll get better results. I also think hustle culture is terrible because I've noticed, and this could be a personal thing only to me, when I'm overworking, I'm doing too much, my creativity diminishes, right? Like I'm still working and doing stuff and trying different things, but I'm not as creative. You know, I need that time to just relax and do nothing. So my creative energy can kind of like just foster itself. You know, it doesn't come from me reading all the time and then working all the time or meetings and Zoom and events and stuff. Like sometimes I need to just sit and literally do nothing at all. And that helps me a lot because then when I get back to work, I have so many ideas. I think it's like that with content too. I think a lot of people get so stuck on what idea is next, what should I record next, because you're always trying to jump to something else and you haven't just sat still in a while to just let it come to you, right? That's literally what it is. Let it come to you. But hustle culture tells you to do the opposite and you need to run and do this and do that. And that's just not, it's not smart. It's not healthy. It's not going to help you. Okay, last thing on this, why I hate hustle culture. I hate what it has done to younger men's perspective of themselves and money and all that stuff. Like there are literally these guys out there record the fake podcast like they're talking to somebody and just say the most outlandish things, right? And I think it's a two-edged sword because on one hand, they're saying this to get attention and clicks and stuff. On the other hand, these guys actually believe it. Like they literally believe that. And now if you're a young man, you're 15, 16 years old, coming into your own, you figuring out life and what you want to do, listening to that guy is one of the worst things you can do. Like I'm a proponent for capitalism. I love business. I love making money, all of that stuff. It's fun to me. But I would never want, if I had a son, I would want my son to consume that person's content. I just don't want that because I know that that's not fruitful for who you want to be as a man. You don't want your value to be tied solely to the amount of money that you make. You are more than your bank account. That's not me saying that money doesn't matter or is not important. I'm not saying that. But if you only see yourself as the amount of money that you make, you're going to be a terrible man. That's just the truth. That means that you will put money over family, friends, loyalty, anything. And those type of men are terrible, terrible people to be around. Okay, so here's what you should do if you want to get better results. Number one is to focus on high leverage tasks, meaning things that are going to get you closest to the result that you want. You do those first. For me, I have an app called Milestone Journey where I track all of these things. The important stuff goes to the top and I label it. I put it under the specific project I'm working on, who it's for, all of that stuff. So if I have client work and I know that has to get done today, I put it on the app, I label it, all of that stuff. So on my phone, right when I pick it up, that's the first thing I see is that task. And having that kind of organization has made life extremely easy. The second thing is to have those time limits, right? So one thing I do when I'm working on a specific task is a time limit for that task. Instead of saying, I need to work for 4 or 5 hours today, I like to just focus on what I need to get done, right? So if I need to do 45 outreaches or write a couple of newsletters or record content, that's my goal, that's the focus. So I'm not setting myself to a specific time frame. I'm just focused on getting the job done. Once that's done, I can move on to something else. And if I completed my task for the day, then I'm done. That's it. Another thing with this one I think is big is a time limit, like the boundaries, right? For me, I was really bad at overworking. So if I had clients, I would answer the phone whenever they called. And I think part of it is you kind of fall into that trap when you're new in business because you're like, man, if I lose this client, then it's going to be hard. Which I understand, it's hard mentally to get past that. But it's something you kind of have to deal with because you don't want to get into a trap where you're always answering every email immediately. They have your personal phone number and they're calling you. Oh God, it's a terrible lifestyle to live. It's not fun. It's a lot of high pressure and it just makes life really hard to be efficient. You don't want to fall into that trap. So my work hours are set work hours. And then I never do any work past 10 p.m. Then you got to work on automation, right? If you don't have a massive team set up just yet, which I know a lot of people don't, that's fine. Focus on automating the small stuff so you don't have to do it yourself. I like to automate follow-up emails, book in my meetings, right? Like that whole process. People shouldn't be emailing you asking what time you're available and all of that stuff. Send the calendar link. Like send that. And then you want to have emails set up so that when somebody goes into your CRM, they get an email a week later or another week later, and it's, taking care of that process for you. Even if you're in this specific sales part and you're not trying to sell the smaller products and you need to get people on the phone, automate that process. Make it a lot easier on yourself. One of the hardest things for me to implement was rest. Oh my goodness, resting was always the hardest thing for me. To be honest, it still is. Because I always feel like there's something else to do. There's something else I want to get done. But setting up all these other boundaries has helped me a lot. And then I have specific rest days. So on my rest days, I always fill it with something else that I consider to be a hobby. Now I know for some people resting is laying in the bed, doing nothing, scrolling on the phone. I can't do that. I can do it for maybe an hour. After that, I got to get up. A rest day for me is not doing anything stressful and, running or working out. That I'm taking a day off from that as well. And then just not getting on my computer. I know that sounds crazy, but I know if I sit at that desk behind me, I'm gonna be working. So on a rest day, I don't even come into my office unless it's, obviously in my closet to get some clothes. Outside of that, I am not in here. I stay away from it because I get in work mode when I come into the office. I think as you should, right? I think that's how it should be set up. It's just so much easier to take that time off when I'm not in my work environment. That's low-key another hack. I'm gonna be honest, separating your work environment from your relaxing environment, that's a game changer. Only because if your mind is set up in a way like mine, where you're always trying to be productive and efficient, you want to separate those environments. And you should get triggered to be in rest mode when you go to your bed. Maybe even relax mode when you're on the couch. So when you come into the office, when I sit in this chair, this straight up chair, it's work time. And again, to avoid that on my rest days, I just stay away from it. So that just helps me honestly be more productive and efficient. Action steps. I want you to think about one specific thing you do consistently that you could use AI to do or you could outsource. Just one thing, one simple thing. For me, and this is one of my first things I paid somebody to do online, it was a game changer. I paid somebody to find influencers I could work with. I went on Fiverr and I paid somebody, I think it was like $50, and they found me a bunch of influencers I could work with. Like, that saved me a lot of time. If I was going through Instagram or LinkedIn myself, oh, that would be exhausting. I don't want to do that. So paying somebody else that $50 was very convenient for me, made my life a whole lot easier. So think about what you could delegate. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, I want to thank you for reaching this point in the video. I appreciate you being here. I'm Chris. I will see you next time.